Developed by Gylee Games and released on the 12th of this month, Boom promises to deliver a new type of beat-em up, mixing guns with fists and lanes with free movement. The developer tried to mix a bunch of different mechanics in one beautiful and colorful package. Hello and welcome my friends to The Flying Kick. I am Savino and today we will see if helping 4 cute girls to save Earth is worth your time and money. In Boom, you are part of a group of 4 space ninja cheerleaders who are fighting a rogue AI who turned against humanity like every AI do. In the game, humanity had fled to space around 15 years ago and built for themselves a safe haven, but after all this time, they were finally attacked by this AI called Zoe, and the girls had to flee to Earth to put an end to it. The story here in Boom is quite big. Every one of the 9 levels has an intro and an outro cutscene showing the girls talking to each other about their next steps, and it's all pretty well done with nice and colorful panels with some quality voice acting. Sometimes in the middle of a level, they can also stop to talk about what's going on, and in case you are not invested in any of this, you can easily skip it by pressing start. It's a nice story with even some emotional moments, and while I think it's a bit too big and probably wouldn't have followed it if it wasn't for this review, I'm glad I did. Visually, Boom is pretty good. The game is all hand-drawn and both characters and backgrounds are pretty detailed. The levels are beautiful with some awesome parallax scrolling, and as everything in this game are extremely colorful. The only thing I could complain about then is the lack of life, but since Earth is almost destroyed and devoid of humans, it's understandable. But at the same time, I miss that feeling of dread and destruction that a devastated land should have. Everything here looks clean and brand new and not a place where humans were hunted down by machines. The only place you see some signs of destruction is on the first level, but that's just a simulation where the girls trained and how they imagine Earth should look like. It's a beautiful game, don't take me wrong, but there's this dissonance between the narrative and the visuals which bothered me a little. The animations are also pretty good, the girls move with a lot of fluidity and their moves are smooth as a cartoon should be, and seeing everything in action here is awesome. The same can be said about your enemies, even the big ones. When it comes to the sounds, Boom is a mixed bag. As I said, the game has voice acting. A lot. All the girls have a lot to say, and I think the actresses did a pretty good job conveying their emotions from excitement to sadness. There is also a bit of silly humor here during the girls' exchanges, and while some of the jokes are a bit cringe, some are very well timed and worked for me. The sound effects are good, although not great. As you can see, your enemies are mostly robots, so be ready to hear a lot of metallic sounds when hitting them. The sounds are okay, but they lack that crunchiness like we have in Armored Warriors to really sell the impacts. Now, the soundtrack is a bit I don't know. The title music is awesome, there's a nice beat to it with some nice vocals and it set a nice tone for the game, but after that the music becomes pretty generic. It's all electronic music and while they are not bad, they do not fit the game in the slightest. Yeah, this is a sci-fi setting and electronic music should be perfect, but here it's simply background music. To give you an example, in the amusement park, the music sounds like this. This doesn't sound very amusing. It seems the tunes were an afterthought in this game because there isn't a single level where the music couldn't be exchanged for any other in the game. Now let's talk about what really matters here, gameplay and combat. Boom let you play with one of the 4 girls, Ares, V, Ren and Saida, and they have basically the same set of moves. Here you have your weak and strong attack, your jump which is pretty generous and let you hover in the air a bit when attacking, you have a special controlled by the blue bar on the top, you have a dodge, and finally your trusty gun. Guns were an interesting addition to this game. I always missed games like Alien or Robocop 2 on the arcades where you had a shooting up with a beaten up death, and Boom is probably the first modern game to do that. Boom offers a few extra moves and combos, but to use them, you need first to unlock them at the scrap shop. You earn these scraps by beating enemies, and you have to walk up and down collecting them because they don't go to you automatically. The good thing is that everything you unlock will be available to all characters, so if you're playing with your friends, you don't need to dispute scraps with them. And it's not only new moves that you will unlock. You also can increase your health, speed, the power of your weapons. There's a lot of stuff to unlock here, and the scraps are generous enough for you to be almost fully upgraded by the time you end the story. There are in total 9 levels, but after beating each one, you unlock extra challenges to complete, like finishing the level using only melee, another where you have to beat it only shooting, and finally a hard mode of that level. These are pretty fun and can greatly increase the game's length. You can also replay previous levels or challenges before moving forward to grind a bit before hitting a level that's giving you too much trouble. Another thing that is interesting here is what happens when you die if you're playing alone. You have 4 lives, but each one of them belongs to a different character, so if you die with the character you picked, you will have to play with another one. I would complain about that in a different game, since if I choose a character, it's because I want to play with that character and I'm not a fan of being forced to play with others. But here the characters are so similar to each other that it's hard to complain about the change. And here's where my problems with the game begins. Yes, the characters have a few differences, but they are so small that in the end, playing with one on another makes no difference. You'll notice some small details like how Ren is the fastest of them and V is a bit stronger than the rest, but honestly, the differences aren't as noticeable as they should be. Their special is also the same for all of them, a colorful pillar of pure power, but they will change how they will move across the screen depending on the character you're playing. You can use your special at any moment, but like Golden Axe, it will be a bit weaker if the bar is not maxed out. They also have unique guns, but while they will vary in damage output and speed, they are in the end just a straight shot that will hit the enemy in front of you. I honestly think there was a huge missed opportunity here. I think each one could have carried a different weapon, not only for variety, but for strategic purpose. It would be cool to have a piercing laser with a longer cooldown or a slow spread shot that could hit more lanes, things like that. Talking about lanes, the game has a traditional system of lanes, but you can freely move between them instead of pressing a button to do that as we are used to seeing in other games. It is great how well it works here. You can move freely between the lanes like this is a traditional beat'em up, but when you stop moving, you automatically stick to the lane you're currently over. This can help a lot to avoid whiffing or missing your target on the Z-axis, which is pretty common in these games, especially for newcomers. But thanks to this lane system, things like that will happen way less. Unfortunately, when it comes to the combat, things are not so great here. Your attacks feel weak and without any meaningful impact. Your enemies, all machines with the exterior made out of metal, behave like they are made out of rubble, with hit stuns that are not as near as satisfying as they should. And that's not even the worst. Even after unlocking all your moves, you will still be using your basic combo for a very good reason. It's your most effective attack against enemies. As I said, you have a couple of combos here and you unleash them by combining your weak and strong attack. The thing is, your strong attack feels so slow and unresponsive that it is better to mash your weak attack than risking taking a hit because your character was admired the scenery before doing the action you commanded. Seriously, take a look at this footage. I added my controller to the screen so you can see how long it takes. It takes 23 frames for the character to start attacking after I release the button. And what baffles me the most here is that it looks intentional. This delay doesn't happen with any other command, just this, which in the end renders this move pretty useless unless your enemy is far away from you, but for that you have your guns. Sure, you can use this attack to throw your enemies in the air and hit them while they are there, but there's no proper hit stops when they are airborne, so they will fall pretty quick, rendering the move pretty bland and unsatisfying. And there's the enemy variety, which is not great. You will mostly fight these two types of robots, with this one being pretty annoying, returning to life just to explode in your face. And from time to time you will face these small robots that can become a rolling ball or a mine. And these big ones. Aside from that, you have nothing. Also, you will walk long stretches of the level facing absolutely no one. The levels are pretty empty, and since you have a lot of real estate to play, the feeling of emptiness gets a bit stronger. As you can see, the camera here is similar to what we have in Zero Teen, but you never have enough enemies to fill up the screen, which in the end is a good thing. You see, you don't have a grab in this game, so to control crowds here, you need to jump a lot to attract the enemies to where you want them. Not really ideal. There's also the lack of cancels. As I said, there's a dodge in this game, but your dodge never cancels any of your moves, so if you hit your strong attack and need to dodge in the last minute, you're out of luck. Overall, Boom is a pretty disappointing game. And what's more disappointing here is that I was looking for it. After playing the demo, I was under the impression this would be a good game, but I guess I was wrong. The visuals are great, the story is well written, the voiceovers are a nice addition to the overall mood of the game, but aside from that, there's little here to be enjoyed. For $20, it's very hard for me to recommend this one. There are a lot of cool ideas here, the addition of run and gun elements is well thought, the lane system works better than I thought it would, and the way you can add the special to your combos is pretty cool. But the core combat is heavily lacking in almost everything that makes these games interesting. If you have small kids that you want to introduce to beat 'em ups, maybe this can be an option since it looks like a cartoon and it's kinda easy. But if you're looking for a beat 'em up to challenge yourself with high scores, combo strings and lots of replayability, this is not the game. And that's it for the video, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like and tell me in the comments what are your thoughts about the game. Oh, and before I forget, you can also support the channel by buying games linked in the description below. Well, so far it's just one, but things will change with time. I will be back pretty soon with another review for you guys, but until then, I hope you all have an awesome day, and remember, keep it up.